It is an enormous treat to be joined by Lathan Jr. You might know him from his viral moment on TMZ, one of the first to stand up to and confront Kanye West.
How many people felt something that I said today? Raise a hand if you felt something that I said today. Do you feel that I'm feeling, do you feel that I'm being free and I'm thinking free?
Yes.
I actually don't think you're thinking anything. I think what you're doing right now is actually the absence of thought. And the reason why I feel like that, because Kanye, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to believe whatever you want. But there is fact and real world, real life consequence behind everything that you just said. And while you are making music and being an artist and living the life that you've earned by being a genius, the rest of us in society have to deal with these threats to our lives. We have to deal with the marginalization that has come from the 400 years of slavery that you said for our people was a choice. Every day we have to walk into that truth while you choose to say things that, to be honest with you, dog, are nonsensical. You want to think freely? That's fine. I'll combat your free thought with my free thought because mine is grounded in a reality that I have been given and a reality that I'm going to change, but I'm not going to do it by pretending that the enemies are on the same team as me. And frankly, I'm disappointed, I'm appalled, and brother, I am unbelievably hurt by the fact that you have morphed into something, to me, that's not real. That's the way I feel.
But also he is the host or co-host of a number of podcasts, including one of my favorites, Higher Learning, with Rachel Lindsay from my favorite season of The Bachelorette. Welcome to Bad Faith Podcast.
I am so happy to be here. I'm such a fan. I've been watching for so I've been watching for so long. I also used to watch the previous show that you were on. I know what it's like to be as part of a previous show. I used to watch the show so much. I particularly liked one moment. I know you're going to remember this, where your co-host freaked out and started screaming, "I don't give a fuck." And I was like, I remember watching going, whoa. Every time I click on YouTube, it's going down on this show. It's fantastic. But I'm glad to see you doing well. I do not watch anymore out of, I guess, solidarity to you. But I love your voice and what it is that you do. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I got to say right back to you, because Van, it is not often that you're consuming sort of more popular culture content and you feel like the people who are talking really have a worldview, have a politic, have a progressive politic, have a leftist politic, are calling out capitalism in the way that you do routinely, and not in like a preachy, I'm like diverting the conversation sort of way, but in a way that seems very integral to who you are. And I don't know. I want to let the audience know that, like, part of why I brought you here today to talk about this new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, One Battle After Another, is because I already valued your politics and I know how difficult it can be to sort of have a certain kind of lefty politics in a more mainstream space. And I think that's exactly why it's so important that people like you are out there.
Yeah, I think, for me, I come from a place where hypocrisy is rampant, right? To where I watched my grandfathers and my great-grandfathers be in the pulpit preaching, but I also saw how they lived as people. And that told me two things. One, the human search for complete consistency on everything can sometimes be futile. It can sometimes be something that is impossible. But at the same time, what you have to intellectually grapple with every single day is what's best for people. Like, what's best for people? There's a lot of people in the world right now that are going, how can I be anti-capitalist or against the abuses that capitalism inflicts onto people when I work for this corporation? You very simply can say, this is the way things are, and this is the way that they should be. And you can continue to work towards that and educate yourself on that and try to push change forward. But just because you're born into something putrid doesn't mean that you have to generationally accept it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You can both realize that we are at a point and in a time where certain things are reality, but you can also realize that it doesn't have to be that way, that we're making societal choices that are sometimes um, made up of individual choices to accept a certain boot on our neck. And it's very hard for people to do that, particularly out here in Los Angeles or in other places where the art and the commerce and the message and the commerce are so tightly wound, right? It's hard. It's hard for people to say, hey, this is a way of life that we are a part of that is deeply crippling to so many people, strangling so many people. Because people don't want to feel like they're full of shit. And they don't want to feel indicted or convicted in any way. They put their personal feelings above the people who don't have. And so, I don't know. There was a time in my life where I think I was a little bit more murky on how I would be perceived and what my purity was supposed to be. But now the bullshit is the bullshit, and we have to call it out and take it on.
Yeah, I really appreciated in a recent episode, it might be your last episode that you did on higher learning, you were talking about this trend of a lot of the podcast right-coded sort of bros like Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan suddenly sort of in the face of Trump's authoritarianism being executed saying, oh, this isn't what I voted for. I'm sort of embarrassed. I want to put distance between myself and that. And you and Rich were going back and forth about, what accountability looks like from them. Do we just say, you guys were morons and you're never going to be forgiven? Or is there, how do we say, yes, I'm glad you've made this heel turn. Welcome into the club. Let's do something about this without ignoring the role that they played in sort of normalizing Donald Trump. And you said something that I think was really important, which is that like these people have to demonstrate that they have a politics. Like you need to have a politics so that you don't end up in this exact same position again 4 years from now, 10 years from now down the line. And that really resonated with me because I remember, back in the day when Joe Rogan was saying that he liked Bernie Sanders. And of course, the campaign got in a lot of trouble when we embraced that and put out a video as like, oh, Joe Rogan endorses us, yada, yada. The liberal establishment was big mad about it. I don't think it was a mistake to do that, but I do think there have to be follow-up conversations that are like, I have a relationship with you now. I have this opportunity for a relationship with you now, Joe Rogan. Like, why do you like me as Bernie Sanders? What are the values that have led you to this decision? And when I'm no longer in the race, what causes you then to go and support Donald Trump? Like, I didn't vote for Biden, so I'm not saying he should have voted for Biden, but I'm just saying, like, does Joe Rogan, if he liked Bernie because he felt like he was independent, he stood up for free speech, because he liked Medicare for all, because he had these basic, okay, then what other candidates in the mix are like that? And why would you support Donald Trump if he opposes those values? You need to have guardrails. Your politics is your guardrails.
Right. We're essentially not talking about those people, which are the people running. We're talking about these people, which is you, me, us. That's what we're talking about. You have an amazing, gigantic platform. You are supporting a candidate or supporting a worldview that I assume you're supporting for reasons that are very intimate and intellectual to you. So let's talk about those reasons, because the candidates are going to change, but the principles won't, right? Yeah. Or I guess they can. I guess they did. The candidates seemingly, well, this is what I should say is, in a perfect world, the candidates would change, but the principles would. The principles of whether or not you think healthcare and safety and housing is a human right, whether or not you believe in the dignity of the global South, whether or not you believe in the dignity of women and trans people and Black people, whether or not you believe in all of those things seem pretty static. They seem to be grounded and cemented in a worldview that just puts the power of the people, dare I say the proletariat, first, right? But
you can dare, yes.
If in fact the core of what you want is, this is what I say about Rogan, and this is what I thought about at the time, and what I know now. Bernie was something that was outside of the establishment, either establishment, really. It was outside of the establishment of the Democrats. It was outside of the establishment of the Republicans, the GOP. When you look back at it, a lot of the people in purges like that supported Bernie it was actually the safe choice. It was the safe choice to say, I'm not choosing what is actually either side. I'm choosing something that's new and different and edgy and pushes the envelope a little bit. This is the guy that's shaking things up. Hey, I like to shake things up, so I'm going to go with the guy that's shaking things up. Now, Bernie certainly is not the safe choice to any type of establishment, and it's a politic that I actually get behind more than anything else. But I saw a lot of people that were in positions like Joe Rogan latch onto that movement, but I didn't hear them really talk about anything that undergirds the movement, to your point. And no one really then, or even now, would just get somebody in a room and go, how do you see society? Like,
yes.
What do you think are the most important things to having a healthy, informed citizenry? Like, what's your deal? What's your thing? And that's why it changes every 4 years, because it goes as the wind blows.
Yeah, and I'll say this is the last thing I'll say on this. I heard you interviewing Maxwell Frost, the representative from Florida, youngest in Congress, Gen Z, all that. And you asked him at the end of the interview if you were to look for, 2 or 3 qualities in a candidate that should be signposts for you as you decide who to support going forward, what would they be? And I can't remember exactly what he said, but I was in my brain screaming for him to say, who do they take their money from? Where, follow the money. Who do they take their money from? Because for me, that is the single most revealing guidepost. Money talks. And especially given that what we're seeing with the extreme gulf between public opinion on financial support to Israel and the war on Gaza, and what both political parties are willing to do about it, and how Kamala, I would argue, was willing to sacrifice beating Trump and winning an election for the sake of continuing the Democratic Party's choice to bear hug Benjamin Netanyahu, tells you everything you need to know about where people are going to be at the end of the day when the chips fall. And I was a little surprised. Given the nature of the Florida Democratic Party, which is very AIPAC implicated, that Maxwell Frost didn't come up with that. But I would love to put that question to him again and to hear that from a lot of other political candidates that come through. Because fundamentally, I would argue that is the problem with the Democratic Party, that there's continually a gulf between what its constituents want and what it's willing to fight for, including Medicare for all, because of who their donor base is.
We have a pretty big Democrat on the podcast tomorrow, and like a gigantic Democrat.
Is it Gavin?
Gavin Newsom, yeah. And I want to ask that direct question. And the question is, as polling shows that Americans, Democrats particularly, their support for Israel is waning, as the stranglehold that AIPAC has over the Democratic Party, over the entire government, seems to be more hyper-criticized than ever. Whether or not the establishment candidates will listen to the will of their people, or whether or not it's actually about something else, something that we can't touch. Because if that's the case, then we just got to roll them all over. We got to get new people in. I won't support any candidate that takes a dime from AIPAC. It would be a silly thing to do at this point. It just doesn't make any sense. But not just them. There's so many things out there that we had already decided that it wasn't worth us supporting corporate overlords through what we do at the ballot box. And now that there's a large cohort of people that are getting to that, it's really going to be up to them about how they change and how they govern and who they take their money from. Because remember, the way I look at it is this. When you take some of this huge corporate moneyed interest out, you actually have to be a pure and better communicator of your values to your people, because it's then them that is paying you. Yes. So really, you get a cheat code by having a big faceless, nameless corporation or the lobbying group funding you, because you actually don't have to be accountable to people. You can just be accountable to them, and then it's fuck the rest of us. I really hope that people see that they're reading the tea leaves, that there's just too much going on. The stakes are too high for at least a sizable. I'm not going to say that there's been this gigantic sea change, but there are going to be a sizable amount of people who just want to know who you truly are and what you really are before they go out there and sign up for 4, 6, 2 more years of the same thing.
Yep. It was the number one reason, according to an IMEU poll, confirmed over and over and over again now, that Biden 2020 voters who did not vote for Kamala Harris, the number one reason was Gaza. And so as much as centrists want to pretend that there is a conflict between these sort of like ethical thing or what's seen as the lefty or radical thing and political expediency, it's not the case. It's not the case. And that's a whole bait and switch that centrists do to try to make it seem like their right-wing decisions that their base doesn't even like are actually pragmatic ones and to get the base to go along with it.
Can I ask you a question before we move on to one after another? I want to know what you think about this. Because I actually care about your thoughts. I voted for him.
Yeah.
I was looking for a look on your face here. I was trying to see how you're
I'm not judging. Look.
Well, I want to know what you, hold on. But I think this is an important thing. I want to know, because like, there are people who, I remember in our Reddit, there will be people that be like, Van is listening to too much Breonna. Great, like that. So I want to know what you think about people like myself or Ta-Nehisi Coates or people who saw a reality where ICE was removing people from the streets and was like, I'm voting against that reality. I'm voting for Kamala Harris. I'm voting for a set of policies that I think won't be quite that, and maybe I could move people on the rest of the stuff. Just because I see you on Twitter, and you go for it, and you don't give a fuck who comes back. But you're sitting in front of one of those people who made that decision. What's your thoughts?
Sure. So for one, you live in California, right?
True.
So on a pragmatic level, I think that you should feel comfortable for the rest of your life voting your conscience and not giving a damn. You should definitely be voting for PSL or Green. I hope you vote for Butch Ware for governor of California and invite him on the show, at least talk to him and explore other non-Democratic Party candidates, because it doesn't matter. It's California. Secondly, though, I would say, even if you're not me, even if you're not a sort of a never again Democratic Party person, they've proven that they are, unreformable. You're not me. You're just a regular person who wants the Democratic Party to do better, to move to the left, to stop supporting a genocide. My argument is that by credibly threatening to withhold your vote, you're exercising some of the only leverage you have as an individual to get them to change their mind. And that announcing your intention or your willingness to withhold your vote well in advance of the election, if they don't move on certain policies, you are not intentionally bringing on Donald Trump. You're not risking Donald Trump becoming president. You're setting them up to be more likely to win by saying, hey, you need to move to where your base is on this position if you actually want to get those votes. So this is sort of the narrative or the argument that the uncommitted movement was doing. And a framing that I'm very comfortable with and that I supported well into the advance of the election. 2 years before the election, I was sitting on Rising talking about how 75% of Democratic voters did not want Joe Biden to be the nominee. This is well before October 7th. Just because they thought he was old or senile and had promised to be a pass the torch president, they didn't want him to be the nominee. And what was the Democratic Party establishment's response to that? This is a right-wing conspiracy. He's perfectly fine. I saw him, the Pod Save America bros were saying, I shook his hand after the meeting and he seemed really normal to me. Anybody who is saying what their lying eyes are telling them is wrong. And so if we had listened 2 years ago and had a primary, we might be in a very different position. If we had listened in the summer of 2024 and had a primary, we might have been in a very different position. If Kamala Harris, once she had become the nominee and been anointed the nominee without a primary, had even lied. And again, I obviously don't want her to have lied. I want her to have stopped a genocide. But even if she had lied in, get this, the way Trump lied, because Trump could read the tea leaves and he understood that there was an anti-war movement, many of whom were on the right. You can call it America First or anti-interventionist or isolationist, but that's the version of the right's anti-war movement. And he knew that they wanted him to end the war in Ukraine and to not be involved in Gaza. And he spoke out of both sides of his mouth and gave plausible deniability that those things were going to happen. It's a lie. I'm not saying be credulous, But he at least knew that that's how he needed to be perceived. And so when millions of Americans did in fact perceive him as more likely to end the war, more likely to have the ceasefire, more likely to end the war in Ukraine, or at least stop funding these wars, they picked him as the more outsider candidate as compared to Kamala Harris. And in every single election, going back since till time immemorial, the more outsider candidate wins. So I didn't cross Trump, long story short.
So we got to bridge the gap here. And let me tell you what I mean. We got to bridge it. And I'll tell you why I think this. We can move on. I'll tell you why I think this. Like, you know, you go on the CNN show for the sport of it because you love Abby, because you like the show, because, you know, they fly you out there and you get your Delta miles. I don't know if anybody knows, but they fly you across country and it goes towards your miles. So I'm miling up. I'm almost platinum medallion status. And that means something, guys. Okay. Capitalism. We're doing a capitalism. I want the upgrades. But I'm sitting there in front of Scott, and you guys have seen the moment. And we're talking about ICE raids in Chicago. And, you know, I want to be able to build bridges to everyone. I believe in coalition building. So I want to say, hey, we should be able to agree that children shouldn't be zip tied. No zip tying of kids. That, you know, whatever you guys are talking about, that there's, I want to establish with everyone that I'm talking to, that there is a level of respect for the dignity of human life that we should extend to one another. I truly believe in that. And I also believe that if we can't do it with children, then we can't do it with anyone. Because it's a pro-evolutionary trait to look at a child and see innocence and potential. And you don't want to corrupt that. You want a better world in the future, so you want that child to exist in the best world that they possibly can. And I couldn't get him to say it. I know that Trinidad, Aragua, and gangs and whatever, it's a catch-all to treat people however you want, to go in there and shred the Constitution or whatever else it is that you want to do. What I'm asking you is this. Do you think that children should have been zip-tied and pulled out of an apartment complex and traumatized like that? Yes or no?
I don't think children should be put in harm's way by transnational gangs.
Just answer the question. Yes or no? Do you think that children...
I don't accept the premise of your question.
I'm asking
the
you
government's not putting children in harm's way. Trinidad, Aragua...
Real calm now. Real calm. Like
they're the ones putting children in harm's way.
Gentlemen and gentlemen, we have a responsibility for the way we treat people with the power that we have here in America. And we have a standard that we should treat human life with. And I'm asking you very clearly, concisely, should children be treated that way? Does Scott Jennings like that?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
All right, cool.
I don't believe that the premise of your question is accurate. I would ask you back. Should children be allowed to live in an apartment building with Trinidad Aragua? Should the entire community of Chicago have to live with Trinidad Aragua because they hide behind these children?
But here's the thing.
That's my question.
And for the first time on the show ever, I got a little pissed off. I don't want to get into a whole thing about that or him or whatever. You guys can watch the show, think whatever you want to think. People are people.
So what did you take from that? And did that make you think differently about the value of going on that show or any show with that for any cable news show?
It's a good question. I don't know that I look at things from the standpoint of their value as much as I should. I look at most stuff as stuff. And the value that I find in doing something like that, obviously there's a reason why I'm going, right? But the value I find in doing stuff like that is sometimes it's sometimes for my people, sometimes for them to look and go, hey, no matter what the situation, Van will stand up for us. Van Lathan, me, I'll stand up for us. And you're not going to be able to get me to tamp it down by putting a suit on me or put me in the studio with a shiny floor. Wherever I go, I'm going to be that guy. And I think people need to see that. The core of the issue here is people. And there is something that's happening right now. I, to me, believe that I represent an ideological and intellectual base of thought that puts people first. That really puts people first. First beyond anything else. First.
You're a humanist.
Like I could sit down, like I sit down and have a conversation with my boys, and my boys would be like, man, I want to be up $1 billion like LeBron James, like my younger pup son, I'd be like, $1 billion. You want to have $1 billion? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, do you know what that means? Why do you want to have $1 billion? Like, have you ever asked yourself this question? Why do you want to have that? Like, why is that so important? And they answer all of these questions, and then you go, hey, if you making $1 billion meant 150 people in Baton Rouge had to sleep on the street, would you still, because I'm from Baton Rouge, would you still want the $1 billion? And they almost always go no. Like, they almost always go no. There's a middle there. There's information that people need. They need to be deprogrammed a little bit. And I do think we need a large group of people to do it. So sometimes when I see you, someone who I really admire, and I see the fights that are happening, what I wonder is if there's a way for those two sides, the center left of the party and the progressive wing of the party, to specifically talk about the people, if there's a way to do that, or if each side believes that the only way to do it is to defeat the other side.
So I think this is an interesting question. You might have observed from my Twitter and other online rhetoric that, in truth, I think when we're talking about voters and like regular people in the world, of course, I have a very humanistic worldview as well. When it comes to access to platforms to try to reach large numbers of people, to try to fill in that gap that you've identified, I think accurately, I would argue that the biggest impediment to me doing so, or me personally having access to that, is that in my experience, liberals hate me more than conservatives do.
That's probably
I
true.
believe I could go on Fox News right now. I am asked repeatedly by Piers Morgan to do that show.
That's what I'll never do again.
Yeah,
that's
that one I've started saying no, because they want me to come on to be the black person who they just say is making everything about race, but they will only invite me on if the segment is about race, and I'm over it. I'm begging you. This is what happened to my Charlie Kirk interview too. Debate. He asked me on to talk about race, to defend whether or not systemic racism exists. And then it's like, all you want to talk about is race. I'm like, sir, this is your studio. You flew me out. I don't know what you want to do. I don't know. We can talk about literally anything else. Please, I beg. But I haven't, even when I was a national press secretary for Bernie Sanders, I was very limited in mainstream news interest. And certainly afterward, I have not once, I don't think since the campaign ended, once been invited on a mainstream liberal news show. Not once. I think one time there was a text from a producer, and then they were like, never mind. I think they were made to understand that they weren't supposed to have invited me. And even moreover, I will say that at some point, can't remember if this is during the campaign or after, I found out that a booker that I did not know, I don't know the name of this person even, had tried to book me on Joy Ann Reid's show. And when Joy found out, she texted back to the booker, absolutely not, and also I'll no longer be using your services.
Oh, wow.
And cut the booker. I mean, that's the attitude to me, because as much as Israel is a third rail, I think the number one third rail you cannot touch and be accepted in liberal spaces. You can be Ken Jennings, right? You can be, Scott Jennings. You can be a mouth-frothing right-winger. And in fact, you are required to have one of those on your shows. I don't know about Abby's show in particular, but I know other producers for MSNBC, et cetera, and the edict has been handed down that they have to have an opposing view, a conservative view on those shows. There's no edict about having a left-winger on the show. And in fact, if you are willing to say you won't vote for a Democrat, if you're willing to say I'll vote green, I'm a third partier, et cetera, then you're not allowed. That is the third rail.
It's interesting. We have to change it.
Yeah.
Because
go ahead, sorry.
we have to change it because the diaspora of ideas has to win. And look, every time, this is just the way that it is. Real talk. Every time something goes wrong, when I say something goes wrong, I mean something that people can glom onto. Somebody getting pulled out of their car by ICE, kinetic strike on a boat in the middle of the sea with just kind of a trust me, bro attitude as to why we had to do that regime change in Venezuela, whatever it is. The war launched in Iran, thousands of pound bombs, whatever it is. We're going to turn Gaza into the Riviera. Whenever that happens, there is going to be a contingent of the center left that is going to say, Jill Stein voters, did you guys like what you got?
Yeah.
We have to fix that conversation because, and the reason why I say that, and I always end up doing my like fucked up Nelson Mandela, Dr. King, let's all get on the same fucking page thing. It always happens. It's because, man, the stakes are so high. And we need all of the weaponry in some sort of understanding. Can we get to 3 points that we understand on? The single payer people and the ACA people, you guys, it's the sick people.
But they won't, Van. Like the ACA people are people who looked at single payer, looked at the popularity of single payer, looked at single payer working in every other country, modern country in the world, including Israel, and said no, because the private healthcare industry and medical industry, health insurance industry will not allow it. So let's take the Republican Mitt Romney plan and make that the Democratic plan. This is the part that's intractable when I separate like regular people from politicians and some pundits is the money piece. Like regular people can talk to and persuade and et cetera. But a Democratic politician who is choosing the ACA, and now this big fight we're having over extending ACA subsidies, which is like the elephant in the room is that the ACA wasn't working. That's why these subsidies have to come into effect, because people's insurance premiums are too high. And we should have just done Medicare for all in the first place. And then we wouldn't be having this stupid fight. Like, the reason that we are ending up in all of these compromised positions that aren't popular, that then Democrats have to defend, is because they're following money and not the base already. So on that, no, there's not a compromise position. And that's another reason why they don't want my angry ass up on the show saying that to be true. They don't want me saying that you chose to do a genocide than to win an election. They don't want me saying that you're choosing this stupid ACA fight instead of having Medicare for all, that you as Democrats are also responsible for 68,000 deaths every year, preventable deaths, that you did a lot of this. And because the whole thing is it's their whole shtick is plausible deniability that we're the good guys. And I think that what's so rankling to Democrats and why they have so much ire for me, I understand why Joy-Ann Reid has beef for me. They're getting a lot of pressure, right? Like they're under a lot of pressure as well to defend the party. And they're fully indoctrinated in the idea that it's vote blue no matter who, lesser of two evilism. But it doesn't take a political science PhD to extrapolate out where you end up if the bar only has to be set a hair's breadth above whatever the Republican in the race says. If you have no litmus test, that's how you end up in a place where you have your left party in the Democrats begging you to vote for a genocide. And I'm sure you saw these clips of the people leaving the DNC jeering and sneering and laughing at the pro-Palestine protesters as they're talking about my family's being killed, generations are being wiped out, and they're like, cry more tears, Palestine.
You know what? So, man, this is such an. I'm not saddened, but it reminds me of the gravity of the moment. You know, there's a tyranny and misery steal your humanity in the same way. Not for the same purpose, but in the same way. Tyranny steals your humanity because in order to be a tyrant, you can't look at the people that you're lording over as human. You have to invent reasons why they deserve to live in squalor, disenfranchised. Misery makes you capable of things that just are going to end the misery. I've seen it. I've seen brilliant, beautiful, amazing people do things that other people would think were abhorrent, terrible, and made them like terrible, terrible human beings. But if you were from where they're from, if you spent any time where I was from or how I came up, you'd say they are navigating the choice matrix available to them. And so what I saw was two things, particularly because a lot of those people that might have been giving those jeers, a lot of them were probably Black. A lot of them.
A disappointing number of them were, correct.
Okay. Now, the reason why I point that out is because two things. Number one, there's a Black woman running for president, and the feeling, the yearning to matter in the country that you built, that your ancestors built and toiled the soil in, the yearning to matter. Every time someone is in front of you that has the opportunity to achieve, it's the ninth inning. Every time. Okay, this person's ascendance is going to mean that we're there. This person's ascendance is going to be the litmus test for how we exist and are going to exist and should have existed in America. It's every time it's the most important person. Every single person that has some shot at the American dream is going to be the person that is proof that it can happen for you if you are Black. And it doesn't matter what that dream is. That dream could be the political dream achieved by Barack Obama or Kamala Harris. It could also be the capitalistic dream. Remember, because you're running out and you're telling a bunch of kids that you got to be Michael Jordan, Oprah, or whomever, right? And then that means that you're an American if you can make a whole bunch of money, no matter what that does to community or to the rest of society. Then there's another part of that. And the part was, there is legitimately a side of that. And this is why misery sometimes can make you selfish. There's legitimately a side of that wants you to drink dirty water. That like they want you to drink dirty water. Any environmental protection initiatives that were in the Democrats' plan, simply because they saw the massive failures of their party after a long time, and they had to serve Black people. Well, Trump is going to come say that they're woke and they're going to take them out. So when they are talking to somebody else that they feel like is encroaching upon, that is putting the needs of the Palestinian people in front of what they see to be their direct needs, they're in conflict. And that is sad to me. Like,
so I would agree. I'm a little bit, I have conflicted feelings about the fact that Gaza is everyone's litmus test, and it took a genocide and not what Black people have been going through. So I wrote an article about how people need to, it was called an In Defensive Litmus Test back in 2020, because I felt that Biden was throwing Black people under the bus and the Black Lives Matter movement under the bus to win the election. The narrative back then was, oh, we got to stop this defund the police stuff. We got to fund the police harder. We got to fund the police harder, as we have done every single year since 2020, right. In order to beat Trump.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them. Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities.
Not only that, but Biden said also, we like fracking now.
Yeah.
I know y'all thought fracking was bad. I know there's some conflict between this idea that you got to elect me because the crisis, the climate crisis is on the ballot, but also we got to win Pennsylvania.
Also drill, baby, drill.
So we got to, we're supposed to be big mad at Paula at what's that broad's name? What's her name? Why am I blocking John McCain's running mate's name?
Sarah Palin?
Why can't it? Sarah Palin, sorry. We got to be mad at that broad. But if it comes to winning Pennsylvania, I'm insisting that you got to support fracking. And one of the craziest statistics that I'm always bringing up is that Democratic support went from being anti-fracking to being pro-fracking. It did like a 25-point swing over the course of like 2 months in 2020 because of Biden inveighing from the pulpit of being the Democratic nominee that was required of us to win Pennsylvania. Now, do I think that was even true? No. There's only like 17,000 fracking jobs in Pennsylvania. There are way more people in Pennsylvania who are working for the federal minimum wage, a blue state where they still have a federal minimum wage. But instead of saying, I'm going to fight for the minimum wage, which he didn't, which he threw under the bus immediately within 2 months of being president by having it stripped out of the must-pass COVID relief bill, which I'm not going to get into the details of, but trust that it happened. He convinced the public to love cops again. He convinced Democrats to love cops and to love fracking. This is your resistance party? And then you turn around, and then in the lead up to 2024, they convinced you to hate immigrants. The Democratic Party's whole pitch was, we can be more to the right than Republicans. Look, we gave you the most right-wing immigration bill of all time, and the Republicans, fools, they didn't sign on to it. Now who's the right-wing immigration party? Like, this is supposed to be convincing me to vote for you? And on top of that, the genocide? And I, Brianna Gray, a woman filming a podcast from her kitchen, is the problem? It just is not adding up.
It doesn't.
And to the identity point about Kamala Harris, like, I don't look at Margaret Thatcher and think, wow, that's the woman I want to be. It takes more than just being representative. And if Kamala Harris wanted to be the first woman president, she could have done so by not trying to ride Palestinian blood to the White House.
Jesus. Well said. What I'm saying is, I get it. What I understand, though, is sometimes the choices that are in front of people, which is why two things need to happen. Number one, you need to come on Higher Learning. That's the first thing. Okay. So you need to come on Higher Learning, and we'll have this conversation, because you're going to see that our audience is made up of a lot of people that are to the left of us, even. They're like way to the left of us, that people that call me a race essentialist, because I'm on the black shit. Like, when I saw you, when I saw you on the Charlie thing, and you and Charlie are talking, Charlie came in ready to fight, right? Ready to fight.
Yes.
Blah, 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 ready to fight. And you're like, this is not even my bag. Like, they should have called me, because I'm on the race shit. I'm on the Nubian, Timbuktu, center of the universe, original people.
I got my Nefertiti necklace on. Don't count me out.
Black woman. I'm on the race shit. I like the way black people smell, smile, and look. So do it to me. I'll come on there and I'll talk about why y'all really hate us. Y'all hate us because no. And then number two, I also see people, and me and Mark talk about this. Me and other friends that I have that really have been stalwarts and been doing this for a long time. I see people who, they're afraid. They're even afraid to contemplate a world, the possibility of a world outside of the world that they've been given. And that, more than anything, is proof of concept of oppression.
I think that's true.
It's not that you can't even work to it, it's that you can't imagine.
They can't imagine it. That's right.
You can't imagine this thing. And so what happens is, when you put them in a situation where their choice is between, just direct tyranny and even soft misery, the choice feels like the most dire thing in the world. And
right,
in order
the trick is making people feel like that's a binary. The trick is erasing a third choice.
Right. What I think right now, we can go. I love this, because this is essentially the conversation. As much talk as I've done with, I've just talked about so many people, particularly on the Palestine issue, that just, when you listen, it's, how can I even articulate this? Like, how can you expect someone? Lupe Fiasco has a lyric, and the lyric in the song goes, "How do you forgive the murderer of your father?" Like, you know what I mean? He goes, how does one forgive the murderer of your father? Like, how do you forgive the guy? How do you forgive the guy that killed your dad? And so, when all of that was happening and everything was going on, you listen to people, and you listen to the blood that the United States of America had on its hands, and you go, like, how can you see past that? And what I would hear from the Black people that I grew up with is, we have a PhD in seeing past our own blood. It's the one thing that we are born into. We're born past our blood and our misery into what America could be. And we vote for it, we move for it, we march for it, we bleed for it, we die for it. And the minute we ask anybody else to do it, they go, we just can't. And that that conversation about what the people of this nation should expect from their government, should expect from one another. What is community? Like, I joke about the landlord lovers that listen to our podcast because I defended the squatters. Like, I joke about it, but I really want them to understand that I don't give a fuck about squatting. Like, in this, I don't give a fuck about the people that squat. I give a fuck about the people that are controlling people's ability to have housing. That's the conversation. But anyway, I thought it was interesting. I'm glad we got a chance to talk about it.
No, I'm glad we talked about it too. And look, this is related. Speaking of, Black women with no politics, let's talk about Teyana Taylor's character in One Battle After Another. So I'm going to tee it up and I'm going to let you take it away because you are a culture maven. Like, you are the pro, not a maven, I guess, because I think that's gendered, but you are you are known for having such a deep and comprehensive understanding of media in society. I'm just going to throw out my takeaway. People were big mad at me on the internet because I came home from this movie. I saw it on opening day, the day Assata Shakur died. And I said, this is a counter-revolutionary psyop. You can't tell me that this movie, which is being framed as sort of celebratory of revolutionary efforts and responsive to the time that we're in and Trump's authoritarianism and all of this, is not, in the first 30 minutes especially, openly hostile to left revolutionaries, treats them as sex-obsessed, indifferent to the underlying cause, bad at their jobs, potheads, forgetful, and all of that in stark contrast to the efficiency and capacity of the kind of DEA agent government figure stand-in, the capacity of the kind of right-wing Christian organization that is kind of the villain of the movie. And even in contrast to the little pastiche in the middle that we get about a pro-immigrant sort of Latino Underground Railroad, as it's called in the movie, organization that is headed by Benicio del Toro's character. In contrast to all of those efficiencies, our radical leftists feel like goofy fools. And on top of that, in that first 30 minutes of the movie, not only are they goofy fools, I would argue that the way that Black women are used in it is downright misogynoir.
Yeah. It's bullshit. So I've talked about it a couple of times. Goofy fools is funny. I've talked about it a couple of times. So the movie it's a value judgment on revolution. It's a value judgment on revolutionaries. It's a value judgment. It's first of all, there are perpetual losers in the movie. And when I say perpetual losers, I mean all the losses are self-inflicted. Every one of them snitches. Like, they get you in the room, they crack, they fold. Every one of them snitches, right? Perfidy of Beverly Hills, and I want to make sure I say this every time, how much love and respect I have for Teyana Taylor. I always have to do that. I'm in community now. That's what we're doing. Remember, we just talked about it. We're in community. Nubian.
I love Teyana Taylor.
Nubian queen.
Stunning. I understand why the movie gets obsessed with her looks and sexuality, but
but in the film, her character executes a crawling Black man. Very interesting that character is Black. Snitches on the entire group. Uses sex as a weapon. Talks as if she has had her actual dialogue run through. This is how cool Black girls internet program talk. It is a dehumanizing portrayal. Like, not it's a dehumanizing portrayal. It's, by the way, and it's, once again, and I've talked about this on both the Big Pick and on the Midnight Boys. It's also, I'm not gonna act like I know all of the Black revolutionary ladies in the world, but I do know great ladies. I do know Dr. Melina Abdullah. I do know ladies. I know ladies, and this ain't them. I'm not saying I know all of it. I'm not saying that that character doesn't exist somewhere. But what I'm saying is the movie this high profile to portray it like that, and also to portray what they are even going for as a joke or as a side quest. There's a scene in the movie where Leonardo DiCaprio is holding his baby, looking into the eyes of the child. He's been transformed by this life. Now, a lot of the other things that he thought were important are not as important. And by the way, that happens to people in situations, people that are giving their lives to these causes. Sometimes they have families and they go, whoa, kid first. She's about to leave. Before she leaves, she sprays some bullshit at him, and it's made to sound like bullshit because what he's doing, as framed in this scene, is the most important thing in the world, being a father. And what she is doing is using the excuse of what she feels like her revolutionary purpose is to avoid motherhood. That
yes,
is
I'm so glad you said this.
And she goes, I'm going to do the revolution. And he looks at her, he goes, go ahead, go do the revolution, baby. And I was like, yo, man.
I'm so glad you said this because people are, okay, we're going to go back and like set this up a little bit for folks. So we just kind of dived into it. But before we lose track of this moment, the discourse around the scene is that Teyana Taylor had some kind of like postpartum depression. It's, we should empathize with her from a sort of a feminist point of view. And that, it's, for how hard it is to be a mother, it kind of legitimizes her abandoning the child. Here's the issue. This whole prologue part of the movie that's sort of narrated by Teyana Taylor doesn't show us that. It's, first of all, the whole beginning, the first 30 minutes of the movie is all telling and not showing. It's literally voiceover narration. And she has the baby. There's no indication prior to the baby's being born that there's any ambiguity about the choice to have the baby. If you're so pro-abortion that you're blowing up churches, I'm sure that if you didn't want the baby, you could have figured it out. The movie is set in like this. It starts in like the early 2000s. It does not start in 1920. You could have gotten it doesn't start when Violin starts, where the choice to have the daughter is complicated by limited access to abortion.
Oh, you went read the source material.
I did. I got 150 pages in.
Yeah. That's the Harvard shit.
I got 100.
Yeah, I didn't bother to do that. So if anybody's expecting me to compare it to the actual source material, I'm not prepared to do that on the podcast today.
I read as far as I could. But in the movie, you see her like sort of like saying, the narration goes something like, I feel like I'm not being paid as much attention to by Leonardo, my husband.
He was jealous of the kid.
By Negro Pat. What do they call him? Ghetto Pat. Which is a whole other thing, but never mind. But what you see, what is being shown to you is, Leo holding his baby, excited about the baby, but also being pretty attentive to Teyana Taylor. Can I get you anything? Do you need anything? So it's confusing. They could have written it in a way that reflects the legitimate experience of a lot of women, where they feel like the husband isn't interested in them anymore sexually, that he doesn't find them attractive, that they aren't as attractive as they used to be, that they're having trouble losing the baby weight, that they feel overwhelmed and not supported in the childcare responsibilities at home. That is not what the movie depicted. So then to your point, what you get is her being like, no, I'm about to dip to do revolution, but they don't even convincingly show her as being invested in the revolution. So yes, it comes off as her just using that as an excuse to walk out. Not to mention the elephant in the room that we haven't touched is that this is a mild spoiler, but I don't think it really has any bearing on the movie, your enjoyment in the movie. We don't know that it's even Leo's baby. And the reason for that is that the setup of this is that while they're doing all of this revolutionary activity in the beginning, she, for whatever reason, finds herself in this like psychosexual drama with Sean Penn's character, who is a DEA agent, some kind of government agent, who at one point she has, as they've invaded this detention center, she has him at gunpoint. And for whatever reason, she tells him to get an erection. He does, and makes him like crawl around on the floor in some like BDSM.
This is the first scene of the movie, by the way. This happens. This is how you meet her. She says, get your dick up. to him. I'll just say it because, you know, you're a lady. And then he has to get an erection. And then I'm like,
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Right before that, didn't we get the scene where he's observing them at the ICE detention center, whatever it is, and he's looking through the scope of a gun at her butt.
That's
zoomed
first.
all up.
So the erection scene is first.
Okay.
So the erection scene is first. That's their first. That's the French 75's first deal. She makes him get an erection, and then I don't know. At first, I thought this was some kind of tactic. She wanted to drain all the blood from his brain or something. That he made stupid. But then after the next time we see his character, he has the drop on them. Like he could get them. They're in the middle of an op, and the camera is focusing in on her butt, on her breast, on her, and then he actually begins to masturbate. And while this is happening, people who haven't seen this movie are gonna be like, "What kind of in the world?" It didn't seem as crazy as it seems when you describe it. And and then all of a sudden, it goes to Bob, and that scene sets the stage for his obsession with Perfidia Beverly Hills. That is Tiana
Yeah, Bob, the Leo character, also Ghetto Pat because he has a name change.
Yeah.
Grabs her ass. So he zoomed in on her ass, and then her husband grabs her butt, and then the implication is that Sean Penn is jealous because he wants her. Okay.
Right.
Combine all of this with that there's all this insane dialogue. This pussy don't pop for you. Pop that pussy. I'm jungle pussy and I'm robbing a bank. These are all Black characters saying all of these things. Getting back to your point about the security guard while they're robbing this bank, Jungle Pussy, who apparently that's her real name as a rapper.
Yeah, she's a rapper. Her name is Jungle Pussy, yeah.
Rips off her mask. Again, everybody involved in the French 75 is incompetent. Decides for dramatic reasons to rip off her mask while robbing this bank and start doing, I think FD Signifier called it like spoken word from the top of the bank counter. And in the middle of all this, a Black security guard, he's prostrate on the floor. He didn't need to be killed. Maybe starts moving a little bit for his gun, and Tiana Taylor kills him dead cold blood. What am I supposed to take from this? In this revolutionary group, this hapless, sex-obsessed. Go ahead.
There's a scene after that I want to talk to people about.
Please.
So after this, they're on the run.
Yes.
And Tiana Taylor's character bails out of the car and she runs. And in her running, she is just a powerful lady. In her running, you can see she runs for a little while. It's prolonged. In her running, you can see that there is this yearning, this desire to be beyond or free of the thing that's chasing her. And when I was watching it, I'm like, oh, she's not running for her freedom. That character is always running from something. The agency of the character is gone. There's no actual belief to me that undergirds what this character is doing. This was a tradition that the character was kind of born into because you see her mother and I guess her grandmother in the movie. And this belief is her escape, and nothing can make her into an actual person, not even motherhood, not even being caught. Because you would think that the moment that she was caught, the weight of the entire revolution would then fall upon her shoulders and she would be like, oh my God. But she doesn't. The first opportunity she's given, she snitches. She snitches. She moves into a home that is owned by Lockjaw. The other people in the thing, there's a montage of all of them being executed and killed in really crazy ways. Poor Alana Haim. Like just getting domed in the head, banging it out with the police, all because of a decision she made that she did not even have to think about.
Yeah, the littlest Haim sister gets got from the band.
Just boom, pop, Haim sister, pop. Like she didn't even have to think about it. Whole French 75 gone. Her Bob and the daughter in the wind. She ruins the whole thing, and then just absconds to Mexico. Later on, no more Tiana Taylor in the movie. And when I was looking at the movie, I'm watching it and I'm watching the prologue and I'm like, there's commentary here. Like, this is saying something. This is
And yet what is it? What is it saying?
That these people are unserious. Like,
yes.
Like these people are mascots for why you should not take people like this seriously. Even later on, when they're on the phone, when the guy's on the phone and he's talking, this guy is so preoccupied with Bob talking to him in the right way that it becomes a joke. It's like he can't grasp the gravity of the situation.
Yes. So let me set it up just a little bit. So we flash forward 16 years in the future. The daughter's grown up, and Leo's character realizes that Sean Penn's character, the DA agent, is trying to track them down. So he has to plug back into his old revolutionary network to try to get to a safe place. And he calls like a hotline for revolutionaries to try to get back in touch. And he doesn't remember the password because he's become a stoner at this point. And he's fried his brain. And he's like, come on. Like, my life is at stake. My daughter's life is at stake. I don't remember the password. And the guy on the phone feels like a parody. They name him Josh, which to me felt like I'm making fun of like a white DSA leftist like character who's process obsessed. Josh on the phone. Josh won't let him have the information he needs to get safe until he can answer like this riddle. Give this passcode. And so I'm mad at this on two levels. One, the way that they make a mockery of Josh, who, I'm sorry, has revolutionary discipline.
Josh, that's what I was thinking. Josh just can't give you this. Is lives on the line. Josh, you have to say the password. That's what I was saying. It's like, why is Josh the asshole in this scene? You have to say you have to say the password, or else you could be the FBI. Josh has to know. Josh is doing his job, but he's the dickhead in this scene.
Yes. 100%. 100%. So between this, the crazy sexualization of Tiana Taylor and the sexual. Now I heard you. Before I distract myself, Van, I heard you have a conversation with Tupac. Was it the Ringer podcast?
Big Picture. Big Picture. Yeah.
The Big Picture podcast.
Yeah.
And you were making the argument that there was an issue with the Black female representation in this movie. And the two of them were kind of like not there for it.
Yeah.
I want to back you up on this. And I've been thinking a lot about what they weren't really picking up. And here's how I would frame it. It's not that you're not allowed to have a Black female character or a Black character that is flawed or that is bad or that is a snitch. My problem with Tiana Taylor's character was that she was not motivated.
Yeah.
She was not written to have motivation and nuance that made her character make sense. She was a caricature of like a moralist, evil part. We don't know why she made a single decision. For example, answer me this, Van. Why on earth was Tiana Taylor, one of the most beautiful women ever to walk God's green earth, who can pull widely, who was currently dating Aaron Pierre, one of the most beautiful men on earth, attracted to Sean Penn? No offense, no disrespect to Sean Penn.
I'm about to say Sean got in all kinds of crazy shape for the movie, and you just fucked over him. I don't know that with that part of it. Was she attracted to him, or was that a power thing?
Write it. If it's write it in the movie. Okay, right. Are we saying that Tiana Taylor's character is someone who was so driven by some kind of commitment to revolution, whether it's because she was raised in this tradition or whatever, that she's taking enormous personal risks to engage in illegal revolutionary action? But all of that motive, that drive, that through thread of her personality is suddenly undercut without any preamble, with any foreshadowing, by the sudden desire to dominate a random 65-year-old police officer.
Yeah. There are a couple other things that, you guys, go see the movie so you can participate in the conversation or don't. The little things that I noticed. And look, to the conversation I had on the Big Picture.
Yeah.
It's a movie podcast, the number one movie podcast. These are my people, right?
Yeah.
What they are trying to always do, and I feel like a lot of people, I've heard from a lot of people on this, they're trying to always make sure that they protect the sanctity of the art and the artist. I want to write a fucked up character, then I can write a fucked up character. And there shouldn't be a group or a cohort of people that are telling me that I can't write a fucked up character because sometimes you got to write a fucked up character. That's cool. Art is made to inspire conversations, and we are going to have a conversation. And that's all that I was saying. And, I was glad that they got the space. And that's why, I'm happy to work where I work. But there are a couple other things. Bob is building a bomb. Bob is fucking serious.
Yes.
Ghetto Pat. He's building a bomb. He's building, not even if he's building a bomb, if it's a bomb or a noisemaker, whatever it is, he's building something. And he's trying to teach her how to work.
He's trying to teach her. Yes.
He's trying to teach her how it works. He's trying to say, this is what you do. Shorty just want to fuck. While he's trying to teach her how the bomb is going to work, she climbs on top of him, straddles him. Shorty just want to have a good time.
Yep.
Then they plant the bomb. The bomb goes off. He is trying to get away so that they can do more revolutionary work. Shorty just want to fuck. Let's fuck while the bomb goes off. Fuck getting away. Fuck the mission. Let's fuck while the bomb goes off. Come on, man. Like what? Like,
she's a humanist. She's reckless.
I'm like, all right, bro. You're laying it on so thick right now that I'm like, a motivation or an understanding or some type of undergirding actual real thing would have been nice. And that's what we're asking for. When I'm asking for characters to be portrayed, I'm not asking for perfect characters. I'm not. Right. I'm asking for three-dimensional characters. Fucking Birdie. Yes. Birdie in Above the Rim. Go watch the movie. Birdie in Above the Rim, played by Tupac Shakur, has a razor blade under his tongue, is a thug, right? Is a guy who is the villain of the movie. There are scenes in the movie where you understand why Birdie is who he is. He's talking to his older brother. His older brother left. He's with his mom by himself. He's talking about how alone he felt, how people were laughing at him, how people were treating him. And you go, oh, well, Birdie's dealing through his trauma at the edge of a razor. You get it. You understand it. This character isn't treated with any of that. The only thing you're made to do is litigate the tremendous failing that she is. Then she leaves her daughter for 16 years and writes a letter at the end of the movie. Like, I would love to come back and have Thanksgiving. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Which also is not what happens in the book. Sorry. What happens in the book? So in the book, first of all, she is in Thomas Pynchon's Vineland. She is attracted to, they write her, she's attracted to the cop. They write it. They explain that she likes him. So in the book,
she's into it.
She runs away with him. She wants to be with him. It's not all this like sadomasochistic crap. Like she just wants him and she goes off with him. Okay. Moreover, I mean, everyone's white in the book, so none of the weird racial implications are there. But I haven't made it to the end of the book, but I did just go ahead and read the Wikipedia for the summary of what happens at the end of the book. She tries to maintain contact at various points through the book. At one point, at least as far as I've read, the Leonardo DiCaprio character, the husband, does come back and try to find her, chases her to Hawaii, tries to have a reunion. She's there vacationing with the cop because they have a full-on relationship, and she just leaves and has no interest in Leonardo DiCaprio because he's kind of a pothead screw-up. At the end, apparently, of the book, the daughter is like so frustrated with her parents that she low-key tries to go off with the cop. But Reagan has cut funding to the police department. And so just as the cop was coming down in a helicopter to try to rescue and take away the daughter, they're like, never mind, we don't have any more funding, and like turns around and like goes back to the airport. So they are all reunited at the end, is my point in the book, apparently, or have the possibility of being reunited in the end. And the mother isn't like so purposefully absent, and you get the mother longing and thinking about her daughter. She has another child as well, but like wanting to reconnect. So all that is to say that Paul Thomas Anderson is making choices. He's been very explicit that this was not a one-to-one rendition of the book, unlike Inherent Vice.
Yeah.
Which is this other Pynchon movie. I haven't seen it, but people often say it's their least favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie, perhaps because it was too literal and Pynchon's writing is sort of unstructured and it was difficult to translate. Fine. I'm not blaming him for doing that. But because he has taken so much license with the source material, it makes me interrogate the choices that he has made that are different from what Pynchon made. And I do want to ask you how you think Paul Thomas Anderson being married to a Black woman in Maya Rudolph informs the way that he has chosen to portray Black women in this movie, including the choice to hire all of these Oscar-winning actors who are white and then hiring hip-hop artists to play the Black women.
Okay.
Both Jungle Pussy and Tiana Taylor.
Regina Hall is in the movie.
Regina Hall is great, by the way. Sorry.
Regina Hall's
I have no complaints about Regina Hall in this movie.
Right.
None. She's fantastic.
So this is the part that is that some of my trauma might get swept up in. I always wonder if actually I don't wonder. Let me tell you what I know. The reason why it's difficult for a white artist sometimes to write a Black character is because white people don't know Black people. The version of Black people that they think actually exists and is awesome is this version where you'll be like, what? This pussy don't pop for you no more. That's something for a song. I've been with a lot of Black, well, let me not say it that way. I've known a lot of Black women, and I've never ever even gotten a text, this pussy don't pop for you no more, Van. I'll be like, what you talking about? What? What do you mean? Oh, it used to? That's awesome. You should have told me. And so when you're trying to be cool, when you think that this is, I'm going to write the real shit. And this is sometimes like what you get. And then you, even like our artists, you connect with our artists. Our artists are people who are like rock stars. Like they're peacocks. Sometimes our artists are actually mascots for Blackness, and they don't mean to do it, but the things that they do become that. It's the reason why somebody will be like, Van, you from Baton Rouge, you grew up like this, like whatever. Like, shit, I'm whiter than you. I done been arrested. And you'll be like, what? You're white. You go, I'm blacker than you. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. I'm blacker than you. I've been arrested. I'll be like, what? You're blacker than me because you've been arrested. What the fuck did that mean? What are you talking about?
Right.
But they got that from hip hop. They got that from the idea of a real nigga that hip hop gave them, this art and stuff like that. And so when these people try to write Black characters, they don't want to write safe Black characters. They don't want to write accurate Black characters. They want to write Black characters through the lens of Blackness that they've observed. It's interesting with Paul Thomas Anderson, though, because that shouldn't have been the case. You would have thought that there would have been a more nuanced view of it, but there wasn't. He wrote a cool Black bitch, is what he wrote. And I don't mean that's what he was. He wrote a bad bitch. And he wrote a bad bitch into a movie. And then we also, all of us said, hey, the tradition of revolutionary Black women that we have in this country is something that we take seriously. So can we have 1 second of conversation about what that actually means to us and how we would like that to be portrayed, if not portrayed in a Mother Teresa halo sort of way, if just portrayed with nuance, accuracy, and to the families. We could have so many conversations about revolutionaries and the good and the sometimes mess ups and slip ups and things that happen, how revolutionaries got co-opted by the government. So we could have all of this different shit. We could have all of those conversations. But the first conversation we're going to have is this treated with sincerity, seriousness, and accuracy? And it's an 0 for 3. And I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings that I'm going to say that, but I got to say it. I enjoyed the movie. I thought the movie was entertaining, right?
Yes,
it's well made, well acted, and all of that. But come on, man.
Yes. And by the way, it's almost worse than he wrote. He wrote an unserious character. I don't believe he wrote that part. I believe he largely let Tiana Taylor ad-lib that role. Here's a clip from him.
Now you blaming Tiana. I can't let you do that.
Look, this is from the horse's mouth. This is from an Esquire interview between a conversation between Leonardo DiCaprio and Paul Thomas Anderson. DiCaprio says that final scene, it's very, very moving. And then Tiana Taylor was just absolutely fantastic. What an ability to improv and embody that character. Anderson, Tiana was best when you just give her the green light to cut loose. Just let her cook and make sure you're filming it right. That's the best way to do that. Like, this is not on Tiana, actually. Tiana would have been better served by being given a script, like everybody else was given a script. Tiana was being asked, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that has an amazing ad-lib ability, and there might be an actor, there might be a singer, there might be all kinds of things, but it is not incumbent on her to write the script, being hired for a role. What I think happens a lot with Black actors, this happened with The Wire, I think, to better effect. They'll be like, we need something real and authentic. And instead of hiring an actor, they're like, their experience with Black people is so limited. And their idea of what is authentic is so detached from their reality that they'll pull some person off the street and be like, just be yourself, in a way that they would never do with a white actor. They just would never do it. They would never... I'm going to go find some like actual pothead revolutionary and just stick them in my movie. I'm going to just go find a pothead and stick them in my movie. No, you find someone who acts a role that's written by a screenwriter.
Right.
But it's almost disrespectful to Tiana, I would argue. And to put her in that position and just be like, go loose. And of course she's going to be her rapper persona. Like, okay, she just did, and the same with Jungle Pussy. And the choice of this man, the choice of Paul Thomas Anderson to hire these two musicians to play the role of revolutionaries instead of, to be so clear, writing a revolutionary character, I think starts to speak volumes.
I'll say this. When y'all clip this and put this out, make sure you put this part in it right now. This is between Black ladies. And Tiana Taylor, I love you. I didn't like this particular character, but if he want to hire you, I don't get in the middle. I don't know if you've heard my pandering to Black ladies thing that I did on Higher Learning. I don't know if you've heard that, but it's a Black women, queen of the dead. I ain't got nothing to, this is Brianna and this is y'all together. I thought.
But I'm not even after her.
No.
I think she's great.
No. Y'all, no. Put this part in the thing when y'all break it out. Van loves her. Okay? Loves her. Loves Jungle Pussy. I just didn't think those characters were accurate depictions of revolutionaries. Hire them. You're right about The Wire, though, because The Wire put Snoop into the role, and the moment Snoop comes on screen, you like, shit, this made this show 4 or 5 times better. This is what I'll say. To all of these points, to put a bow on what I felt about the movie. You guys, it is entertainment. It is art. It is all of that. But I'm going to put it to you like this. You go out and you make like Boat Trip. You can put zany characters in the movie. You can do all kinds of different shit. It's whatever. If you make a movie about serious things, particularly that comes out at this time, I'm going to expect serious, evocative and deeply, deeply introspective characters in it. If you're talking about revolution, fatherhood, motherhood, absentee fatherhood, like postpartum depression, I'm gonna expect those things to be dealt with in a way that reflects the actual weight of them in real life. And this is a movie that has a central narrative that it wants to get to, has an action piece that it wants to get to, and it uses a lot of things that are actually real serious and have a tradition as kind of throwaways and treats them very loosely and with not at all the weight or the importance that they need to be. And if you combine revolutionary with Black woman, with mother, you got a high bar with me, Skippy. Bucko, revolutionary Black mom. Yeah, you gotta get that right. Like Charlie, I'm gonna get at you a little bit. So, go see the movie, enjoy it. It's not the last time I'll have cultural criticisms on the film. Hasn't been the first. So, Film Bros, once again, I say that's the last. This is the last. Brianna got the last of my One Battle After Another thoughts. That's it. I'm done. All right. This is me. I'm going back to the film ghetto. Come talk to me when Tyler Perry dropped. That's what y'all don't want me to talk about y'all shit. Come on. When he dropped, come talk to me. All right.
Well, speaking of Tyler, FD Signifier, I think in his review said, you can't tell me that there's so much black woman hate in this movie. You can't tell me that Tyler Perry's hands weren't on this somewhere.
FD is one of the freest black men. Man, I'm so bad. Yeah, they can tell you. Brianna can tell you like how bad I am at like scheduling and getting together and stuff. I was late for this. I had to get a room at Spotify because I couldn't be at the house. FD is one of the freest black men walking. He just is. No matter what it is, he just fucking says it, and he's having a lot of success doing it. I can't wait to be on his platform. I have him on Higher Learning the whole nine. We've been talking about it, but because I am who I am, it hasn't happened yet. So I didn't see his review, but whatever he said, I'm almost sure that it was treated with more seriousness and intellectual investigation than Perfidious's character was.
Well, look, I can hear you rearing up to go. I'm going to let you go. I might have to do a live stream on this because we haven't even really gotten to the political void that is this show, that is this movie. And I think the real contrast that's set up between like the efficacy, the efficiency of the Christian conservative group and the pro-immigrant Latino group versus this weird black, white, like hodgepodge, weather underground group that is the Fringe 75. And moreover, the choice to create this like fake white supremacist group as the antagonist in the movie and ignoring all of the structural issues that are going on, that clearly it wasn't the white Christians that put them immigrants in the cage, right? Like, what is the government? What is the community? And the irony is that Violin, the book, is like so invested in like how the country is changing from the 60s to the 80s and what it means to have moved from flower power to the Reagan era. And that is like, I'm not saying it's a wrong choice, but I do think it causes some of the friction of what's motivating these characters and the lack of that motivation when you don't have any kind of, you don't learn about anybody in this movie, like what's going on in the rest of the world outside of this. So I might kind of try to conscript some of my favorite other media people to come and continue the conversation in a live stream. But I want to thank you very much for being so generous with your time today, Van, and tell the audience where they can find you and your other podcasts on the internet and beyond.
I made a promise to myself, no more plugs.
Oh, yeah?
No. I'm not telling you nothing. If you want it, you'll go find it. If not, I ain't got nothing else to sell you. I tell you what, you go read. I'll give you 3 things to read. Go read Manufacturing Consent. Go read Chomsky. Like, don't spend more time with me. Fuck that. The stakes are too high.
I can't help it. I've been binging Higher Learning. It's exactly what I needed in my media diet, I gotta say. I've been really enjoying you too.
She just did the plug. Like, less Van, more reading important shit. I'm gonna be fine. I'm here at Spotify. I'm a corporate overlord. They're paying me. So I'll see you guys when I see you. I really appreciate the time to be able to come on here and talk to you. I have a lot of respect for you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Van.
No problem. Peace.
For those of us who are not on Spotify, feel free to subscribe to Bad Faith Podcast at patreon.com/badfaithpodcast. Over on Patreon for an additional episode every Monday. As always, take care of yourselves and remember to keep the faith. Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Just a reminder that this is a podcast. You can catch an extra premium episode every Monday for $5 a month at patreon.com/badfaithpodcast. That's patreon.com/badfaithpodcast for $5 a month, an extra episode every week. Additionally, please do consider liking this video, subscribing to this channel. It helps us out. It helps independent media beat the algorithm. We appreciate you. And as always, keep the faith.